I'm from San Antonio, Texas. I'm 24 years old.
Oh, yeah. So being from Texas, in the South, your what has been your experience being here? You've been here like in Texas your whole life.
I've never been outside of
So
Texas.
what has been your experience being here in Texas?
Um, Now it's better because now after my experience from being younger, now I'm branching out to be that strong, independent woman to have my own voice and speak up. And now it's like mistaken for having an attitude, but that's just now versus then.
Okay, so you say now it's better. So what is something that you feel like when you were younger was like a challenge for you being here?
Um, my discrimination in elementary.
Want to expand on that?
Want me to expand on that? Okay. In elementary and fourth grade, I'm not like for those who don't know about it because I asked someone or I told someone else earlier they didn't know what it was, but the standardized test that you take at the end of the school year to see if you can go on to the next grade level. It's then it was called the TAS test, and then when I took it was a TAX test, and then now it's called the STAR test. But when I was taking it, it was either you pass, go on, or you don't pass, but you go to summer school and then retake the test and then go on to the next grade level. And then it was at that school it was primarily white folks in that school, and then only a handful of Mexicans, handful of black folks, and a handful of like mixed people. So it was only like maybe like a total of like 12 or less students. And then I remember probably barely few of those passed. And me, along with the others that didn't pass, we weren't given the opportunity to go to summer school and take the test again. And that's that I barely missed it by 2 questions. And we had to like stay back another grade level. And then there was more than a handful of white folks that didn't pass it, but they just let them go to the summer school, take the exam again, and then they passed on to the next grade level. So I asked them, and I had an attitude about it, and they told me if I had an attitude about it, then I would have to be removed from the school and the district. So then when I went home, my parents were like, or my grandparents, they were just like, told I had to be quiet about it because they couldn't afford to like take me to another school because not my attitude, it was just my point of being upset about the situation and speaking up about it because it wasn't fair.
So it was a majority white school. So with that being said, how do you feel like the administration at the school went by as far as preparing everybody for the test?
I feel like they knew what they were doing. It was just like the setup of it. Like how now, not even then and now, like how people say it's a system. It's built. It wasn't like, oh, that's just how the system is. It is how it is because it's built. And that's how the system was at that school because it was in the country with nothing but white folks, and they're all privileged, in my opinion.
So now that you're older and you're in college, what is your experience now as far as the administration at St. Philip's, and how do you feel they prepare you to go into this life that you say like the system is already built against you?
Well, I feel like it depends on which school you go to because it depends on the administration side also because the school I go to now is an HBCU where like they've had a situation similar to mine or they've had some kind of racial discrimination. So where they understand the situations, especially academically. So my situation in my college now, I have no problem there. I'm a work study student there. I go to school there, and I'm a vice president of the Collegiate 100 there. So everything's smooth sailing over there now. If I have a problem or an issue, I can just go speak with the vice president or even my instructors. And versus the other Alamo colleges, like you're just a number. But here at my school, it's a breeze going there because you're not a number, you're a student, and they know you by name and you have a relationship with the instructor. So it's easier going there.
If you could pinpoint somebody in your life, even if it's at school when you're in elementary or even middle school, that kind of helped guide you through it, even though like the system was jacked up. Is there a person that you feel helps you to cope and still push through to get to where you are now?
My granddad. He's not my granddad biologically. My grandmother remarried someone who was African American. Then my mother remarried someone who was African American, and then she had my little sister who's African American or mixed with African American. But my granddad was the one who raised us because my mom, she had to work like 2-3 jobs because she had kids at a young age, and so my grandparents raised us primarily. And my granddad was the one who was always reminding me, like, if I was the one picking cotton and I had to go through everything I had to go through and I still made it to raise you, you're not going to make a fool of us. Like, we're not going through it all over again. We're going to stick it out. And I was always told to, like, just be quiet and keep it pushing. But he always reminded me, like, you have to be humble. You have to just stick it out and get your education, because that's something that can't nobody take away from you.
So with your family being basically a double minority, what kind of pressure do you feel that you had to deal with that you feel like somebody who was just one type of minority, like either Hispanic or African American, would have to deal with? That do you feel like there was any difference, and if so, what were those differences?
Ooh, that is a lot of pressure. It's a lot of pressure because it's not that I get mistaken for being black or being mixed, because I wouldn't even mind having that title because that's all that's in my family. But you have to go to, like, okay, if we go to Mexico, you have to prove that you're Mexican to the Mexicans because of the hair and the hairstyle and being from, like, the States. Then you go somewhere else where it's like, or in Ohio where my stepdad's from, and it's like, you're not black enough. And then you go to the white folks area, and then you're not proper enough, or you're not, it's like the way you're brought up. You're not enough for anybody ever. And it's just, you're always trying to be enough, or if not more than enough for them. That's just that.
So with the whole not being able to feel like you're enough, what are some pointers that you would give to other people in that situation to try to get through that feeling?
It would be, you're not alone. My granddad always tells me that. And he says, like, there's no point in, like, lashing out, because if folks back then could, walk and march in peace, and even if they didn't have their action taken now, or they didn't have the result then, but we're getting results now and we're still working towards more results. If we're just lashing out and we're giving them a reason to talk, and we're just proving them right with everything, all their allegations that they're saying about all minorities, especially the Mexicans and the black folks. So he just says, like, you just have to be better than the person that's behind the other words, or the negative words.
So what is something that you have seen in first the Mexican community and then the black community that you feel needs to be worked on, and then once again, like, bring it together, since you are in the family where there's both present? What is something that, as a community, as minorities, that you feel need to be worked on for us alone, like excluding, the white people, the people on the outside? What is something internal that you feel we need to work on and we need to do better?
I feel like since black on black is big, black on Mexican Hispanics are big too, because the same way black on black needs to come together with shootings or just with anything in general, black and Mexican should come together. I mean, it's more of just accepting each other, because accepting the fact that we're all minorities and we're all, described as the inferiors and below others, or below the white folks and the ones that are just privileged. Because I know what I've gone through as a Mexican with other black folks. If you don't carry your grandpa that's black, or your cousin is black, you're not black, and you're not fit, or you're not enough, you can't talk a certain way, or because, she's trying to talk black kind of thing. But it's just, and then if you have a boyfriend or you have a cousin that's black, it's like, we're taking their men from them. And I'm like, no, they're married into our family. Like, we're family. We're all together. We're all one. It's not like that's my stepdad, that's my step cousin, or that's my half brother, half cousin. It's like, no, we're all one. We're all family. And if anything, we're all below together. So it's just like the power of all of us together, if we were to be united, would be so much more powerful than the white folks, in my opinion.
Has there ever been a time where you had a conversation with a white person and they were trying to explain, or they were just speaking their mind on your situation, and you were just like, this is not right? What is something that you felt they were getting at, and what is something that you felt they might have misunderstood about your situation?
I can go back with the exam situation with the administrator, because I was just asking them, like, because I remember it was in PE. They took me out of PE. We were playing dodgeball or kickball or something, and I had just got out because someone hit me with balls. I think it was the dodgeball. And she was explaining everything to me, and then they brought out the other white folks that were on there, because there was 2 doors, and then I'm on one end, they're on the other end, and then I was crying because it's like I studied so hard, and she told me, she was like, you're only short by 2, so come back next year, you'll pass again. And then I'm like, okay. And then I go to the restroom. I see them explaining it to them, and they're explaining them like, okay, well, you just have to come back. We'll take the bus. We'll have the bus for you. You can come for summer school. After that, at the end of the summer school, you'll take the exam again. If you do better, then you'll go on to the next level. And I'm like, okay, well, she can have that. Then how come I can't have that opportunity? And so then I went to the instructor, and she was like, oh, no, they say you're on the list of the students who can't go to the summer school. And I'm like, why is there a list of people who can and people who can't? It's like, I thought it was just if you fail, you go to summer school, you continue. And she was like, no, there was a separate list. And I said, okay, well, can I go to the principals? And she was like, for what? And she was just like, you don't need to be going to the principal unless I send you to the principal. And I'm like, I need to speak to somebody. And then she was like, okay. And I was like, we went back to class. I played it off. And then whenever I told her I needed to use the restroom. And then she told me I could go use the restroom. I went to the restroom. I snuck out and I went to the principal's office. And that made it even worse because I went around what she said I could or couldn't do. And so then I had to had to wait it out in the summer and then go in the next school year and then retake the whole 4th grade level all over again. So then after that, I was just, that's my biggest reason, my biggest why as to why I'm such a perfectionist and OCD now, trying to be all that I can be, because after that, it just made my family upset because they were like, why couldn't you just be quiet? I was like, at the end of the day, I was still gonna have to retake the whole grade level all over again. So I wasn't gonna go out without a fight.
So with that being said, it's very astounding how you talked about now that's why you're OCD and things like that now. What other ways do you feel like mentally going through that situations and other situations of dealing with, being discriminated against or having to conform in certain ways, that it has affected your character and who you portray yourself as and who you actually are?
From the outside looking in, I look like just that female with the resting bitch face or a mean person. I look like stuck up. These are just comments that I've heard from people, like I just me off the bat, off the hand, and how are you doing kind of thing. And then those that get to know me, it's annoying to them because I have to be a perfectionist. I have to do, like I'm the student that can't have a C or a D or F. I have to have an A. If anything, it's a B. And if it's a B, it's because something happened. That's a situation that had happened. But I'm that way because I'm the only student in my family, step family, original family, with Mexican family, all over the family. I'm the only one that's in college ever. So it's just much more pressure because they're like waiting for me to finish so that I can make something and then be the one that's like, can I get this much money? Can I get a loan? And I'm just like, y'all have to wait. But it's that way because we've struggled for so long, the whole sleeping on the bed, sleeping on the floor, sharing the bed, sharing the room, and it's like, I wanted that whole room to myself. I can't have a room, I can't have a bed, nothing, no, okay. But we just struggled so much, and we've all gone through discrimination together as a whole for being double minority. So that makes us, that makes me the woman of the household that, with the education.
So, with you being the first and only person in your family to take this college route, how does the pressure of having to be an inspiration to the family members after you, like younger siblings and younger cousins and things like that, do you feel like you have no other choice but to succeed in order to make them believe that they can do it?
Yes, my little sister, she's basically, I call her like my little child. I call her child. When I get mad at her, I call her child. She knows, but it's so crazy because I see her like speaking the way I speak and talking the way I talk and doing things that I do, and she gets my clothes, and she's always sneaking into my stuff and trying to do anything and everything that I'm doing. But then one time I woke up in the middle of the night because I was barely getting any sleep, so I had to get some kind of sleep. Then I woke up and she's doing her homework, and I asked her, I was like, why are you staying up so late doing homework? And she's like, because I have a B. And I'm like, well, you're okay with that B? She's like, yeah. She's like making all these goals, all these plans and aspirations to go to the same college. Well, her thing is basketball, so I keep like mentoring her and telling her like, you can do it, just because like we had a rough like lifestyle, and we're still sharing rooms, or we're still like having to put the whole family in a little apartment doesn't mean like you can't do it. So I feel like I have to finish, I have to graduate, I have to be successful for her, because when she sees me lacking, she starts lacking. So I have to get on her and tell her, just because I lack doesn't mean you lack. So it's just that much more pressure.
Now, going back to you being at an HBCU, what do you feel are the biggest advantages of being at an HBCU and the biggest disadvantage of being at an HBCU?
The biggest advantage is you have a voice, and with your voice it's heard. And you can make a decision there. Your education matters to them, and if there's a situation going on, they're not gonna just, one ear and out the other. They're gonna actually listen to the situation and take care of the situation, and they're gonna make sure you get the best education that you can have at my HBCU. The biggest disadvantage is maybe just the fact that it's not a university and it's not a 4-year. There's no dorms there, but hopefully they work on making some dorms.
Has there ever been a time where, because I also go to a HBCU, so I know how when you're on campus, you feel comfortable, and then you step off campus, and it's like you're in a totally different world. Have you ever felt like sometimes being at an HBCU blocks you off from the world you're actually going to be working in? Because at a HBCU, you're surrounded by minorities and other people that look like you, compared to when you get off campus is, other people. So I'm trying not to make it a yes or no question, but like, have you ever felt like that disadvantage is something you have to cope with?
Yes, because when I go to the other junior college that's not considered a HBCU, where there's more white folks over there because it's on the upper side of town, you're given the no's, and you're given the, well, they can and you can't, versus my HBCU where it's like, oh yeah, cool, let's see what we can do, let's make it happen. It's more comfortable because your voice it's heard, and it's not, oh well, this isn't fair kind of situations. Those never happen. And if it does, it's like, well, give us a couple of days, we'll work it out, we'll see what we can do, we'll get to the bottom of it. And that experience is what makes it more comfortable. It makes it more like, okay, you enjoy the experience there, and you get the best of your education. You want to actually go to the tutoring, and you want to actually be a part of clubs and organizations, and you want your GPA to be up and out there. But when you go to the other universities or the other colleges, and you're outside the university, it's just back to reality of this isn't fair.
Do you feel like HBCUs should make an effort to build relationships with PWIs?
I believe so, yes, because then that would be the breaking the barrier of bringing everyone together and then uniting everyone. And then it'll slowly make the way of this isn't fair go away. It'll give it an opportunity for our voices to be heard the way we want.
So what are some ways that you could bridge that gap between HBCUs and PWIs?
I think if there's more conferences including the both, like the one we have now, if we don't just include HBCUs, if we include them too so that they can hear our voices, they can hear our stories. Because growing up, it's like if you don't go to the white schools and get treated that way, you're gonna be just learning it from the textbook, what the white folks want you to know. But other than that, the white folks aren't gonna hear your voice. And you're not gonna get heard or anything unless you're actually there and you have your situation happen academically or even outside of the academics world. They don't want to hear your voice, and they're not going to. They're going to tell you that be quiet. That's just how it is. It is what it is. You're wrong. But if we bring them together, like at a conference or a travel meet or even just like any kind of event that's on campus, where we make them hear and listen, take surveys or whatever. If you're not quiet, you keep talking, they're going to eventually have to listen.
Bringing it up to like recent times, with the president that we have right now.
That is y'all, the president.
How do you feel about where this country is going, knowing that he was able to make it in the office, even with his viewpoints?
Election was rigged.
But yeah, so what do you feel about the direction of the country, knowing that he's there?
Honestly, my granddad, my whole family and I, we don't like the whole political conversations because that's where the arguments and it goes back to the racists and everything happened. So we avoid those conversations, especially in public with the white folks, because it always just turns left. But at the end of the day, we're just like, he has 4 years, we're gonna wait it out. It was already rigged as it is. As long as you stay out of the way, you mind your own business. Like we always were taught, like when someone asks you what are you doing, it's not rude, people take it as rude, but if it's a whole stranger and they ask you like, what are you doing? And you're like, minding my business. And then we all always respond with like, what are you doing interfering in my business? If I stay in my lane, I'm not bothering you, then that's fine. Like if you don't have anything, if I can't help you with something, you don't need to be talking to me kind of thing. But we just stay in our own lane and we don't even entertain him being the president because it adds more fume to the fire. So we just waited out his 4 years out, and then we just encourage other minorities to go out there and vote because if our voices aren't going to be heard, they're going to be heard with the ballot.
So with Donald Trump coming out and even when he was running for president, how did it affect you seeing the support?
It was disturbing because you have so many people arguing on social media about they don't want this, they don't want him in the office, this and that. They're arguing with a whole conversation in paragraphs on the keyboard, but they can't be in line to go vote. And they're talking about they don't want him in the office and they want their voices to be heard. And I'm like, okay, but your voice is the ballot. If you want to make that difference and you don't want him in the office that bad, that's how I know it's rigged. It's rigged, I promise you it is. And then there's all these people that, I remember the same day when he was elected, all these white folks in the office, they're just calm. Like they just know, like I don't have to go vote. He's gonna be president anyway at the end of the day because It's just how the political science works.
Do you feel like there ever be a time in our generation that we can have that same type of confidence in the system?
I'd say hopefully, but it's because I watch my favorite show, Scandal. It's just the system, the way it's built. Unless, like the lady said earlier this morning, once you get your education and that's your tool, that's your weapon that no one can take away from you, you're finally able to make decisions. It's just getting into the office and putting yourself in a position to where you can be a part of making that difference. We need more minorities to where you're always going to be a minority compared to the white folks, but if you can give yourself that education and have that ticket to get in there and put yourself in a position or in that office or in that chair to where you're able to have a voice for the others that don't have a voice and make a difference, then maybe eventually we'll make a difference or we'll have more results.
I'm gonna go back to what you said about your ballot being your voice, and tie it in what you just said about getting people in office. Like, what is the best way to try to get our representation, and also what do you feel the best way is to get people to understand that it's important that they vote and they get these people?
It's just getting, like you said, just getting people to understand the importance. Maybe in college, make it like a course, if not like an extra credit seminar kind of thing, because that's where it starts. Because in my opinion, it's like a lot of people don't know the importance of voting, or they're just like, okay, it's just voting, it's going to happen anyway, because it's rigged, but that's where it is. But it's just, a lot of people don't understand the difference or the importance of it, and a lot of people, in my opinion, from where I'm from, we're not educated with it, with the importance, what you can do with it, how it goes about, like even seeing the ballot. They've never seen the ballot, they never voted, because their parents are like, oh, why you didn't go vote anyway, because your voice don't matter. But if you're educated with it and then you take it to the schools, like that's where it's held at, but if you take it inside the classroom and you teach them, they know their importance of it, then they'll get out there and they'll vote.